Hello, RC Youth. How's it going? Hi, Noah. Happy Sunday. We have moved to the Christmas corner of our apartment. Our apartment is not that big, but this is where our Christmas tree is. This is my friend Harold the gnome. And he's one of my favorite Christmas decorations that we have. Hey, if you're jumping on, say hi in the chat. Don't forget to hit that like button. Send a text to somebody. Remind them that we are finishing this week our Family Matters series. We've been talking a lot about family over the last 2 weeks, which has been really awesome. I'm super excited to share about this tonight. So let's wait for a few more friends to jump on. Harold for president. Harold 2024. Isn't he cute? Can we just talk about this for a quick second? Isn't he cute? There's been gnomes everywhere, and Kellen was like, I think we need to get a gnome. So this is our gnome. His name is Harold. He lives on our shelf. You can't see his face, but I'd like to think that he's smiling under that beard. Harold for president. Hi, Wilsons. Hi, Kira. Hi, Noah. I see Gigi on there and McKenna. Gigi, are your siblings here too? Can we just not see them? Noah and Eliana. Oh, Kellen's going to go crazy in the chat, but I totally see why it's distracting. So I will probably cover it up. Hi, Eliana. Hi, Noah. Are you guys still swimming? I miss you guys. I want to know what's going on, but I'm so excited for next week. Next week is our virtual Christmas party, but we'll be on Zoom so I get to see all of your faces instead of you just getting to see my face today. But I'm super excited. As we wait for more people, I'm going to share some info about that and then remind me at the end. We're going to talk about it again just in case and just to have a refresher. So next Sunday, the 13th is our virtual Christmas party. If you have not RSVP'd yet on the GroupMe, please do so because we are putting together your goodie bags this week. And this is going to be so fun. I am so excited. You don't want to miss this. And so please RSVP. And then we'll be doing some drop-offs next Sunday after church or on Sunday afternoon. So make sure that you're going to be home on Sunday afternoon so you can get your supplies, and then we are going to log on that evening and it's going to be awesome. Also, if you have Instagram, check out our Instagram post. There's a sneak peek of what is happening and what's going down, and I think you're going to want to stay tuned this week because more things will be posted and it'll be fun. So we had a lot of fun putting that together, and I'm so excited to see y'all next week. Noah Garza. Hi, Coda. Coda was so dope and put that video together. It was so cool. I don't know what it is about a time lapse that makes everything so much more fun and epic. I always time lapse my car wash when I go through the car wash because I think it's so fun. Car washes are so soothing. All right. So yes. Okay. Coda said that we need to cast some votes later this week, and you guys get to vote and see can I say this? I think I'm going to say it. Sorry. This was a secret. Whose gingerbread house was the best? So go on and vote this week because this would be awesome. And you guys will get to make your own next week. Oh, thanks, Coda. Okay. I already said it. So here we go. All right. I see a few of you on there. We are 4 minutes in and we're just chatting right now. If you are here for the first time, welcome to Our City Youth. My name is Katie Moore. I'm one of the pastors at Our City Church, and we're so excited for you to be here. We've been in a series called Family Matters, and this has been especially, I think for me, a really great series for a couple of reasons. One, we've been spending a lot of time at home with our families. And I think the more time we spend at home, two things happen. One, we can appreciate our families more, or two, maybe we get a little bit annoyed with our families because we're spending some extra quality time with them. Also, the holidays are coming up, and that may look a little different for some of us this year because 2020. And some of you heard some things may be changing starting tonight, actually. with some stay-at-home orders, some new stay-at-home orders. So this has been especially helpful for me during this time because time with my family looks a little different right now. So this has been so great. Hi, Juliet. So good to see you. I loved seeing you guys. Sorry, I saw Juliet's name and I totally took a tangent back to last year's Christmas party picture in your PJs. You guys looked awesome. So are we wearing PJs, Taylor, for the Zoom Christmas party? Are we wearing Christmas clothes? What's happening? Ugly Christmas sweater? I'm ready for all of the above. So just let me know and I will be there with all of my Christmas whatever on. PJs, sweater, nice Christmas clothes, whatever it is. Awesome. All right. Well, we are going to get started. Like I said before, if you see someone who's not on the chat, then send them a text really quick because we're going to dive in tonight. I'm super excited to share tonight because this is one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to family and the church. And so, Harold for president. Who's Luis? I'm confused. Dress like Santa. Okay, listen, I'm ready. All right, we're going to dive in. I'm going to have to cover the chat because I see why Kelly gets distracted. So I'll see you guys in a few, but I'm super excited to share this right now. So again, if you're joining us, we are in week 4 of Family Matters. We've been talking a lot about family, and tonight we're closing out talking about family matters, but also why family matters. All right, so I'm going to share a little bit about me and we're going to dive in. So growing up, I had a best friend. Her name is Elise. And if you have a best friend, I'm a little nervous to say this. I don't want to call out names or whatever, but if you have a best friend, type something in the chat. You don't have to say who it is specifically, but if you have a best friend and you grew up with your best friend, then you know that you do a lot of things together, right? And actually, I'm going to say this. I changed schools a lot when I was in elementary school. I would have to think about this, but between preschool and 12th grade, I changed schools 9 times. So I changed schools a lot. It was a little weird at the end. I left to school and came back because I was homeschooled and all these things. But anyway, but in elementary school, I changed schools a lot. And all I wanted was best friend because you see it in the movies, you read about it in books. People have best friends and I wanted one. So every friend that I started making, I was like, oh, maybe we'll be best friends. Maybe we'll be best friends. And so I came to middle school and I met this girl that I actually had known from church before. She had gone to a church plant that broke off from our church. And so we didn't really see each other anymore, but we went back to school together and in middle school. And she had a best friend already. And I was kind of sad, but we got closer and closer and we became best friends. And her name is Elise. I actually spent so much of my time with her. And you guys know this, if you have a best friend or a really close family friend that you spend a ton of time together with their family, right? Like I ran errands with her mom. I swam in their pool. I even saw their pool before it was cleaned right after they bought their house and it looked like a green swamp. I watched so many movies there. I cleaned up before parties. Like I was there so much that I was there before the party, had to clean up for the party, had the party, and then cleaned up after the party. I can't even tell you how many meals I ate there and how many times I slept over. But I spent so much of my middle school and high school experience with my friend Elise and her family. And because of that, I had a close-up view of how her family worked and interacted with each other. And they are still such a big part of my life now. Elise and I text all the time. We chat on Instagram, we text, we call. I actually just called her mom a couple of days ago and just checked in because she's like a second mom to me. And so you guys know if you've ever been around your best friend's family or close family, you know that you get to learn all the ins and outs of what's going on in their family too. And I loved being around a family that was different than mine. And I loved my family. I have an incredible family, but this family, the Pacheco family, they're Puerto Rican. They're from the Bronx in New York. They were loud. They had lots of extended family that was really, really close. So I knew all of Elisa's aunts and uncles. I knew their birthdays. I knew all of her cousins. I saw her little cousins grow up and graduate elementary school and middle school and high school and college. And it was crazy. It was so cool just to be a part of this family. There's lots of good food. They had lots of parties and there was lots of salsa music and dancing. So they taught me how to dance there. And I just loved being around her family. And I think maybe you've experienced this too when you spend a lot of time with other families or you just observing other families. It seems like other families have something going for them that your family doesn't, right? If we can all be honest, we've all done this. We've all kind of done this comparison game. And no matter how we feel about our families, we still have times when we look around and say, wow, it would have been really cool, or it would be really cool if my family was more like that. It could be a family on TV that you see portrayed through the media, or maybe it's your friend's family, or maybe it's a family in your neighborhood or in your apartment building, but you see other families. And regardless of your family experience, no matter how good or bad, how memorable or forgettable, we always look and compare, right? But whether you know the ins and outs of this other family or your own family, we all know that no family is perfect. No family is even close to perfect, even though it may seem like that on the outside. And because of that, your family and my family will never be able to provide everything that we need in life. And one way or another, our family will let us down. Now, that's a really weird thing to say because we've been talking a lot about how family matters and why family matters so much. But the truth of the matter is that our families aren't perfect because we're made up of people, right? Families are made up of people, and people aren't perfect. People are broken. And so our families will never be perfect. And so our families can never provide everything that we need in life. And eventually they'll let us down. But what if God wants to and can give you more family? Now, I'm not saying that your parents can have another baby. What if this was like the way that we announced that someone was having a new brother or sister? Just kidding. That's not happening. As far as I know. Maybe Kellen knows something that I don't. Okay, but what if that wasn't out of the question? What if God wants to and can give you more family? What if that's not out of the question? Maybe that sounds crazy, right? Because you're like, I've already asked my parents for another brother or sister, and they said no. I used to ask my parents that. I was like, can we get another baby? They're like, nope, 3 was enough. I'm the middle child. But today, I digress. Sorry. Okay, what if that wasn't out of the question and God wanted to give you more family? And this may sound crazy. Maybe this doesn't seem possible in your family, but stick with me because I think what we're talking about tonight could be a game changer when we think about what it means to be family and why family matters. Okay. So speaking of dysfunctional families, we just talked about that no family is perfect. Every family is a little quirky would be a really nice way to say that. Dysfunctional. Every family has got their own problems, right? But one of the places that we see this the most is in the Bible. Okay. So the people that God used in scripture to do big things, miraculous things, the people that we still talk about today in church and learn about from the Bible, none of them have been perfect. None of them have come from perfect families. In fact, I'm going to sneak a peek at the chat. I'm pretty sure any person that we talk about in the Bible has a crazy / dysfunctional family. And I would love for you to throw names in the chat from the Bible that I don't know if this is going to work, but that you can think of that you think, oh, they came from a normal family. Because most of them, I'm pretty sure, are just, dysfunctional, which is actually really good news for us because God used crazy people from crazy families all the time. And if we've already established that your family and my family are not perfect, then maybe God could use us too. In fact, take that back. God can use us and he wants to use us. So Joseph's family, Coda, you don't even know. Crazy. Speaking of dysfunctional, right? His brothers totally jelly of him. First of all, let's back up. His dad had 2 wives, favored children from one wife because he accidentally married the woman he loved sister. He was tricked into marrying her sister. So then he waited and worked more so he could marry her. And then he liked her children better. So he favored them. And so all the other brothers were jelly and ended up selling him into slavery. right? That is crazy, crazy. But Joseph did incredible things. And we know who Joseph is, and we know his story because God used him in big and powerful ways, right? So crazy. Okay. So there's so many other families in scripture that came from crazy families. But like I said, that's good news for you and I, because even if we feel like our families are crazy, God can and will and wants to use us in that. Okay. So today we're going to talk about two other guys from the Old Testament who are a little bit further down in Joseph's line that came from less than ideal families. Okay. David and Jonathan. Put your hand up in the chat if you have heard of David and or Jonathan. David and Jonathan. David might be a little more famous or popular or well-known than Jonathan because he was a king. King David we're talking about here, and his family was crazy. Okay, let's talk about this. So a little backstory on David, right? The prophet Samuel came to see David's father named Jesse. Samuel knew that the next king of Israel would come from Jesse's family. So God said, hey, go to his house, go look at his sons, and I will tell you who the next king is. So Samuel is obedient, goes to Jesse's house, asks him to see his sons, and Jesse brings his sons out. He doesn't even bring David. He leaves him out in the field working because he doesn't even think that David makes a cut. Doesn't even think that David is worth it. Ouch. This is his dad, okay? This is his dad. Doesn't even believe that David could be the one. So he leaves him out in the field and just ignores him, okay? So that's King David. That's a little bit of his family story. Now let's talk about Jonathan. Jonathan had a more famous father, but let's talk about his mom first. Mom doesn't talk a lot about his mom in scripture. She seems very passive, very uninvolved, a little bit absent. His dad is the opposite. His dad was overly involved, overly aggressive, and borderline crazy. And his dad's name was Saul. Jonathan's dad's name was Saul, who was the first king of Israel. Saul was so obsessed with power that he tried to have David, who was going to be the next king, right? He tried to have David killed on multiple occasions. So Saul is not winning Father of the Year awards here. So this is where Jonathan is coming from. We just heard where David is coming from. David's dad doesn't even think he could be king and leaves him out in the field. Doesn't even put him in the running. Jonathan's dad is Saul. He's the king of Israel. So that means Jonathan is the prince of Israel at this time, right? The first prince of Israel. Saul was the first king of Israel. Saul is so jealous and obsessed with power that he tries to have David killed all the time. Okay, so these are the families we're talking about, David and Jonathan. So in 1 Samuel, which is in the Old Testament, we're introduced to their friendship. Jonathan, like we said, is current son of the king. David has been appointed by the prophet Samuel to be the future king, the next king. So really, they shouldn't be friends, right? They should actually be rivals, because he is the rightful heir to the throne, Jonathan, and David has been chosen by God to be the next king, right? But Jonathan really should be the next king, right? So that they shouldn't be friends at all. But God had different plans. And even with all of their family histories being true, and even though they should be rivals on paper, they were still friends. And this is what 1 Samuel 18, verses 1 through 3, this is how 1 Samuel describes their friendship. Okay, 1 Samuel assumed to be written by the prophet Samuel, the one who anointed King or David to be the next king. Okay, so 1 Samuel 18, 1 through 3, it says, after David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan's dad, Jonathan became one in spirit with David and loved him as himself. From that day, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return home to his family. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. They became best friends. And when we talk about friendship in scripture, David and Jonathan come up a lot because their friendship was so strong, so unique. Jonathan loved him as himself when he really, on paper, or maybe how you or I would have reacted, would have been jealous, right? Would have been angry, would have maybe tried to do what Saul did, try to have David killed. but Jonathan loved him and they became besties. And I don't know what kind of covenant or pact they made with each other. In my mind, it could be like a signed document or a pinky swear, but I really hope it was like a really cool, unique handshake that they had with each other. And they decided to be best friends and they took care of each other, right? And they took this pact seriously. So these two guys who didn't come from great families, they needed each other and they showed up for each other when they weren't getting what they needed from their families, right? Whatever family is supposed to look like, it didn't look that way for either of them, right? But they had each other. Later, in the next chapter, 1 Samuel 19, it says, Jonathan even looks out for David's life. So check this out. King Saul, told Jonathan, his son, and all the attendants to kill Jonathan. So King Saul commands his son, Jonathan, to kill his best friend, David. But Jonathan had taken a great liking to David and warned him. He said, hey, my father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. So be on your guard tomorrow. Go into hiding and stay there. I will look out for you and will stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and find out. So I'm going to go and do a little digging and find out what his ish is with you. And I want you to go into hiding and stay safe because I care about you. So Jonathan spoke well about David to his dad, right? So he is making David's case for him. He talked about all the good things that David did. And to the surprise of everyone, Saul actually changed his mind. Okay. So right after that in verse 6, it says, Saul listened to Jonathan and took this oath. As surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death. What? Crazy King Saul makes this decision because his son Jonathan spoke highly of David and decides not to kill him. Now, to be honest, fast forward a little bit, Saul's promise did not last long, but Jonathan tried. Saul is cray-cray, and he ends up still wanting to have David killed. But Jonathan, who should have been happy about this, should have wanted this position as the next king, cared about David, right? Even though David was taking what would have rightly been Jonathan's place on the throne. Jonathan was a great friend to David. He cared about him. He looked out for his life, his future, and his well-being. He saw potential in David's life. And he put his life before his own wants or needs. We actually don't know, Jonathan, it doesn't talk about whether or not Jonathan wanted it, but we've all seen what power does to people, right? And so whether or not he desired to have that, if he grew up expecting that, then this was a huge change for him and the shift. And yet he still honored his friend David, which is awesome. And we all need people like this in our lives, people who care about us and accept us no matter what. People who we can text and celebrate with when we've had the best week ever, or people that we can text and talk through and process things with when life isn't going well at all. You need someone that you can laugh with and cheer you on and celebrate with, and someone that you can talk to and cry with. We need people who care about us enough to tell us when we posted something that we shouldn't and steer us back in the right direction, when we say something that we shouldn't, and help us to apologize when we're doing things that we shouldn't, and point us back in the right direction. We all need friends who can see something bigger in us than we see in ourselves. And if you are a person that calls yourself a Jesus follower, you need people who will encourage you in your relationship with Jesus. Remember, David and Jonathan found this in each other when their families were full of dysfunction, right? And when there were gaps left in their family, they were able to find support in each other, in their friendship, in someone who understood how crazy their family was, right? Did they replace their families? No, of course not. Our families matter. Like we've been talking about the last few weeks, your family matters. And I truly believe that God has placed you in your family. Your family is part of your story. But we still need people who will show up for us the way that family shows up, even when we're not blood related. This is one of the reasons that Jesus established the church. And I love this more than a concept, this purpose of the church. We often think of church as a building, although the last how many months now? 8 months of church has looked a little different, as we are still on YouTube in December, right? We're still doing a live stream instead of meeting in person. But the church has always been a gathering of people first. So the word church, actually, the original word for church means assembly, not building or place. It meant the people. And the church is the family of God, the body of Christ. And if you are part of the body of Christ, those that belong to the church and that are the church are a group of people that are uniquely connected by a love and commitment to Jesus, right? The body of Christ was created to be there for each other. There are, I wish I remembered this, so many verses that talk about one another. And in order to fulfill these one another commandments, we have to be in relationship with each other, to love one another, to carry each other's burdens, to forgive one another, to pray for one another, right? You can't do those things that Jesus and Paul teach in the New Testament, the one another's, unless we are about one another, unless we are with one another, unless we are in relationship with one another. And that's how God designed the church to be. And so this is the bottom line for tonight. It matters to have more people than your family. Your family matters, but it also matters to have more people than your family. In Hebrews, which is towards the end of the New Testament, the writer of Hebrews says this in Hebrews chapter 10, 24 through 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. There's another one another right there. How can we spur one another on towards love and good deeds and not give up meeting together, right? You guys have done such an incredible job of being faithful in this crazy pandemic time, to show up on Sunday nights, to show up on Sunday mornings as we watch online. McKenna, it was so good to see you this morning at a watch party. And I know that you guys are there every week. And that is so awesome. And that's what the writer of Hebrews is talking about. Let's not give up meeting together. Let's not give up spurring each other on towards love and good deeds. And that's why we still do this. On Sunday night, we live stream at 7:00 every Sunday so that we can be meeting together, even though it's virtual, even though it looks different than we think youth group should look or has looked, right? This is how we can still meet together to spur one another on, to encourage each other towards love and good deeds, to care for each other, to be together, right? We don't meet as a church just out of habit or routine. Maybe we do. Let's be honest. Maybe some of us do, but that's not why we should. We meet because it's essential, because we need each other, because we need encouragement and support. I need encouragement and support. I love seeing your names pop up on Facebook or YouTube in the morning. I love seeing your names pop up on YouTube when we live stream. I need to see you here because we need each other. I need your encouragement, support. We need each other to fill the gaps that have been left by our own families. And that's why God calls this his family. We are children of God. The church is a big family, which is so beautiful. God is so creative and he's so wise in how he has designed things to be. But here's the secret about that. When you have these kinds of family of God relationships in your life, it can actually make your relationship with your own family even better. These family of God relationships can help you understand each other better and take care of your family even better. And that's so beautiful. So, what does this look like in our lives right now? What does this look like in our lives? Okay. So there's 2 application points, and I just want to talk through them because I think these are so important and I love these. These are great ideas, and I would love us to keep talking about that in the chat here. I know that it's a few seconds behind, and so I'm going to share some of these things. And as you guys are hearing them, I want you to start thinking about them and talking about them in chat. Okay. So the first thing that we can do about this to have more than just our family in our lives is to focus on widening your circle. So what does that mean? Let's think about these things. Who are the people that you can seek out to be a sort of bonus family? Who are the people that care about you? I want you to think about this. If you think of a name, put it in the chat, because I think it's important for us to recognize and identify and name the people that God has put in our lives as this extended family. Who are the people that care about you? Who are the people who look out for your best interests? Who are people who could see potential in you? I told you already that I talked to my best friend's mom. I call her Mama Pacheco. And I have known her since, Elise and I have been best friends since middle school. And so that is, I'm trying to do some quick math in my head. I was 12, so 19 years ago. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a lot. I just really aged myself. But she's been a part of my life for the last 19 years. And she, one of the things she talked about when we talked on the phone, she was like, you are married and you have been married for 6 months. So Kel and I have been married for 6 months now. And she was like, can you believe that you're married? Because she has been praying for me and for my future husband since I was 12. And her daughter, my best friend, got married a couple years ago. And before Elise got married, we were praying over her, and her mom prayed over all of us as the bridesmaids and prayed for our future husbands. And actually, maybe a week later, I met Kellen. And so she takes full credit for our relationship. But I'm so thankful for her because she saw potential in me. She always has looked out for my best interests. And I know that she cares about me a lot. She loves me and she's been praying for me. And so she is part of my bonus family. She's part of my extended family. Okay. So who can that be for you? Who can be a bonus family for you? Who are the people that care about you? Who are the people who look out for your best interests? Who are people who see potential in you? I also talked about or talked to one of my friends that I used to work with at my other church in LA. And her name is Tracy. She is on staff. Her 2 kids were 2 of my students when I was a youth pastor, and they both grew up in my ministry, graduated out. Her daughter, Kara, became one of my youth leaders. She's the one who dyes my hair, and she's awesome. But Tracy, I met Tracy when I was in high school, and I went on a missions trip, and Tracy was on the missions trip with me, and I was probably 17. And I remember Tracy was so wise and so solid. And she has been just such a faithful friend and was an incredible coworker. But I just texted her today and I was like, hey, I miss you. I've been thinking about you. And she is part of my bonus family. She is part of my extended church family. And so who is that for you? Who would you love to be a part of your family that goes beyond the people that are related to? And it doesn't have to be people your age. Like I just shared, both of these people are older than me, but these could be people who are your age. They could be, I see some friends popping in the chat, which is awesome. It could be someone older than you, like a coach or small group leader. It could be a family friend or a friend's parent or just someone that you look up to. And I so appreciate the way that Tracy parents her kids, and she has adult kids now, but I know that she's so prayerful about how she parents, and she reaches out and asks other moms. And so that's something I respect about her. I want to parent like she parents. And so she's not my peer in that sense, but she is one of my really good friends. And so think about some of these things. If you don't have someone that comes to mind right now or right away, then this is what I want you to do. I want you to ask God to bring some people into your life. And I told you at the beginning that I would pray and look for a best friend. I desperately wanted a best friend. And because I changed schools a lot and just different life circumstances, some of even the good friendships that I made didn't stick. But Elise has now been my best friend since like I said, 19 years ago. How crazy is that? And it's something that we've both committed to. And which I'm jumping ahead of myself, but pray for that. Ask God to bring people into your life, and keep your eyes open to the people who may already be in your life, or that God may put in your life in the future. And it might not be who you think it's going to be. It might not be who you think it should be. I remember I had shared, Elise and I had gone to church together in like 4th grade. She went to be a part of a church plant, so we didn't see each other at church anymore. We met again at 7th grade orientation. We were both new to this school, and our parents saw each other. They knew each other, and they're like, hey, go talk to her. And we're both like, no, I don't think so. We both had preconceived notions of each other from like growing up in Sunday school together, or being in Sunday school together. I will say this, we were both probably right, but we said hi anyway. We had a bunch of classes together in middle school. And at first I was like, I don't think I want to be your friend, but I'm so thankful that I just tried, that we spent time together. We got to know each other, and almost 20 years later, we're still a big part of each other's lives. And so it might not be who you think it is. Okay. So another thing to do with that is work on being this kind of person for someone else. Work on caring about other people, looking out for their best interests, seeing potential in them, and being that sort of bonus family for other people. And when we are caring about other people, that attracts that too, right? So don't just look for that for yourself, but try to be that for other people. Okay, so that first part is focus on widening your circle. Think about who those people are. If you don't know anybody that comes to mind right away, start praying for them. Start asking God to open your eyes to see people that maybe you wouldn't think of, or maybe that you wouldn't expect, and start being that way. Start acting like that. Be that kind of person for others. And the second thing is to talk about it. Okay, so David and Jonathan made a pact, right? They made a covenant. And I made a joke about secret handshake or pinky swear or signed a contract or whatever, but they talked about it. And that's important, because if we want people to be in our lives, sometimes we have to ask them. Sometimes we have to say out loud what we want or what we need from other people. Elise and I talked about being best friends, which is weird, and maybe it was a middle school thing, but she had a best friend coming into middle school that she had grown up with in elementary school. And I was like, is there room for one more? Like, I didn't know how this best friend thing worked, but we talked about it. And we talked about it again and again and again into high school. We went to college together. We lived together in college. We lived together after college. She moved away up to San Francisco, and I moved back to LA, and we still made long distance friendship work. We still talk all the time. We visit each other as much as we can. Kellen and I saw her and her husband over the summer. When we were driving up north. And so we talked about it, and we decided that we were going to be intentional about being in each other's lives. And sometimes we need to do that with people that we want to be a part of our lives. So maybe, for example, if you want a small group leader to be like a mentor in your life, someone that you can ask hard questions to, someone that will hold you accountable, that you give permission to, hey, you have permission to ask the hard questions in my life too. To challenge me and to hold me accountable, to be a godly human. If that is someone that you want in your life, if you want that mentoring relationship, you need to ask them. That's something that I prayed for years and years and years, is to find a woman who was in full-time ministry, preferably in youth ministry, because that's where I served for many years. And it took me years, until 2 years ago, I think I found someone who was a little bit ahead of me in ministry, and I prayed for them, and I sat down with her on the couch, my friend Ann, and I was like, hey, I would love for you to mentor me. I would love for you to pour into my life, and I want to learn from you. And she lives in Indiana, and I still listen and observe and watch and learn from her, and she's incredible. But sometimes we have to actually have that conversation. If you want this group, this youth group, we don't have like necessarily small groups here, but we have an incredible youth group, and you guys are this core team that Kellen keeps talking about, the all-in students. If we want this to be more like brothers and sisters than just a youth group, then we need to talk about that. We need to establish like, this is, hey, we want to go deep. We want to be real. We want to walk through life together. We want this to be more than acquaintances. We want this to be family. We want you guys to be a part of your extended family. And naming what you want out of this relationship is important. So let each other know what you're thinking and what you are willing to reciprocate, right? Because remember, it's not just take, but we need to be that person for someone else too. So we have to say that out loud. And I don't know if this is conducive to do in the YouTube live chat, but maybe this is in our group me. Maybe it's just a little bit more private, but it's a, hey, this is what we want to be as a youth group. And I know that, I hope this is okay, Kellen, that I'm saying this out loud, but I think it's going to be okay. I apologize if it's not, but you're not here right now, so I'm going to say this. Kellen and I took some time to reflect about 2020, about this year. And one of the reflection questions was, what is one of the things that you are most proud of about 2020 when it comes to ministry? And Kellen said this youth group, this all-in group of students, is one of the things that he's most proud of, that he feels has the most momentum in, because you guys have been so incredible and so faithful, like I said earlier. And we are so excited to continue to pour into you and to love you and to walk with you and to build you up. And one day when we are meeting together every week again, like, we are so excited for that. But we are also excited about this time, because this is the building and the waiting. And right now, I don't know if you guys have seen any of this, but there's a season called Advent in the church calendar. And it started, some people started at the beginning of December. It technically, I guess, started the last Sunday of November, and it's 4 weeks until Christmas. But Advent means waiting. It talks about the season of waiting. And so we are in between Advents. We had waited for the Messiah to come, and now we are waiting for the second coming, for Jesus to come again. But there's so much good that happens in the waiting. And this is like our waiting time right now until we can meet back together again in person. This is the waiting, but this is when God is like pouring in, solidifying the foundation, building us up. It's like the behind the scenes practice that makes the game on the court actually happen. And this is that for us. And so we are so excited, not just for the future, but for right now, because this is the time of waiting, that we feel like we're just waiting until that thing comes. But this is actually the time that I think the Lord does the most work and the best work in our hearts and in our souls, is in this in between, in the waiting, when we are called to be still and to lean in even more to the Lord, especially when we're exhausted and tired and don't want to. And so this end of 2020, this weird new stay-at-home order, this weird time that we're in of this global pandemic, this is the time that God is pouring into us, solidifying us, getting us ready for whatever comes next. And so anyway, let's talk more about that in our group me, but I hope that that's what you guys want out of this youth group. And if you happen to be on YouTube and watching this for the first time, we still want to invite you into that. Like, we want you to be a part of that. This isn't exclusive, but this group of students that's currently on here right now, like, you guys have been so faithful and you guys have been so incredible. And I'm so proud of you. I know Kellen is so proud of you, and your leaders are so proud of you. And so you guys are part of our extended family. We love you, and we want to live life and walk life with you. That was a little bit of a tangent. That wasn't part of my notes, but I just get so excited about this, because this is the church. This is who God designed us to be. This is who God has called us to be, is to do this with each other. And we are so excited that we get to do that with you. So just to go back, focus on widening your circle. Think about who those people are or could be. If you don't know who that is, start praying about that. Start asking God to open your eyes to potential people that are currently in your life, or people that could be in your life, and start being that kind of person for someone else. And then talk about it. Let's have a conversation. What does it mean to be intentional in our relationships, to make a pact like Jonathan and David did, to be there for each other, to care for each other, to see potential in each other, to call each other out in love, to want better for each other, to want the best for each other, so that when we build in these relationships that are of the church that we can also pour into our family relationships, our blood related families. All right. So let's close with this. Imagine if in the next few years of your life, you had this group of people outside of your family who felt like and acted like and loved you like family. Imagine what your life could look like in the next few years if you cultivated and invested in and had conversations with a group like that, your bonus family. I love that term that was in here, bonus family. And what if those people, your bonus family, actually encouraged you and pushed you to make life in your own home better? So this outside bonus family is encouraging you to make your family, your blood related, born into immediate family, even better. Not only would that set you up for a better future, but it would make your life now more joyful. And it matters to have more people than just your family. So starting today, we can work on that. We can make our family even bigger. We can start building this bonus family. And it won't happen overnight, right? But we can ask God to bring these people into our lives because family matters. Family matters. And we have the chance and the opportunity to make a bigger one, to build a bigger one together. All right. I love you guys so much. So thankful for your thoughts in the chat. I loved seeing your bonus family, who you guys think of as bonus family. I am so thankful for you guys as our bonus family. We love you so much. And Pastor Chris talks about this a lot, and I had never heard this before. I've grown up in the church and I've worked in a church for a long time, and I've been around a lot of other pastors and youth pastors, but Pastor Chris talks about, he's like, hey, we're not here to build a church. We're here to build a family, because he knows how important family is. And that's how Kellen was raised under Pastor Chris's leadership, and his heart and his passion. And that is, I know, his heart and passion, and our heart and passion for this youth ministry, for our city youth, is to build a family. We're here to build a family. It's not just about numbers and attendance. It's about hearts that are changed for Jesus and lives that are made better because of Jesus. And we are in this together. We are here to build this family together. And so I'm so grateful for you guys being on here tonight, for sharing in the chat. We are meeting next Sunday. Reminder, next Sunday, virtual Christmas party, December 13th. And Taylor, can you remind me what time it is in the chat? I know we usually meet at 7, but I feel like we're meeting a little bit earlier next week, if I'm not mistaken. But don't forget to RSVP in the GroupMe, because we need to know who's coming so that we can drop off your supplies next week. And trust me, this is something you do not want to miss. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited for this already. And it's going to be lit. Yes, thank you. So good. So excited. Taylor, what time is it next Sunday? We'll put it in the GroupMe as well. And make sure to RSVP on there. And then don't forget to check social media this week, because we're going to be voting, we think 5 p.m. Thanks, Coda. Okay, so 5 p.m. Sunday. Make sure that you're home Sunday afternoon so that you can get your supplies and be ready. We're going to jump onto Zoom at 5. Kellen said that we're dressing up as Santa. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, I'm so ready for this and so excited. So I will get to see your faces next week on Zoom, virtual Christmas party. Link will be in the GroupMe. Check that out. I love you guys. I'm so thankful for you. I hope you have a great night, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. I'll see you soon. Ciao.